Imagine a winter evening in a village somewhere in northern Europe during the later Middle Ages. The fields beyond the houses are dark, the furrows stiff with frost, and the last gray light is fading behind a line of bare trees. Smoke rises from several roofs and drifts low across the lane. A dog barks once, then decides that whatever disturbed it is not worth leaving the warmth of the doorway. Somewhere, a wooden shutter knocks gently in the wind. Somewhere else, a child is being called inside before the ground becomes too hard to cross safely in the dark. It is tempting to picture every medieval peasant winter as an endless emergency, with families huddled in collapsing huts while snow pours through the roof and wolves wait outside for anyone foolish enough to open the door. Real life was usually less theatrical and more complicated. Winters could be dangerous, especially after poor harvests or during periods of severe weather. But most rural households were not surprised by the arrival of cold. Winter came every year. People prepared for it as carefully as their resources allowed. They repaired roofs, stored grain, cut fuel, slaughtered animals that could not be fed through the cold months, salted what meat they could preserve, dried beans and peas, patched clothing, and tried to make sure that the household entered the darkest season with enough food, bedding, and firewood to reach spring. That did not mean they were comfortable. It meant they were experienced. The first thing you notice as you approach the village is that there is no single kind of peasant house. Some homes are small and simple, others belong to prosperous tenant farmers, and contain several rooms, storage spaces, and outbuildings. Building traditions differ from one region to another. Timber is common where woodland is available. Stone appears where it can be quarried cheaply. Walls may be made with timber frames filled by woven branches and covered with a mixture of clay, straw, and other local materials. Roofs may be thatched with straw or reeds, covered with wooden shingles, or in wealthier districts, finished with tiles or slate. A house in an English village does not necessarily resemble one in the Alps, coastal Scandinavia, central Italy, or the mountains of the Iberian Peninsula. The word peasant also hides a wide range of lives. One household may barely control enough land to feed itself. Another may lease several acres, own livestock, employ servants, and sell produce in a market town. A widow may manage a holding with her children. A landless laborer may sleep in a room provided by an employer. A shepherd may spend part of the winter in temporary shelter near animals. A rural craft worker may divide the day between farming and making shoes, barrels, tools, cloth, or pottery. Their houses, diets, clothing, and chances of surviving a bad season can differ sharply. Still, many homes share one central fact. Fire organizes the room. Walk through the doorway of a modest rural house, and your eyes take time to adjust. The interior is dim even during the day. Windows are small because openings lose heat, and glass is expensive. Some windows have wooden shutters. Others may be covered with cloth, parchment, horn, or simply left open when weather permits. The roof above is darkened by years of smoke. In houses without chimneys, smoke from the hearth rises into the upper part of the room and escapes gradually through the roof, the eaves or openings designed to let it out. The arrangement is unhealthy by modern standards, but it is not necessarily a room permanently filled from floor to roof with blinding smoke. Warm air carries much of it upward. People learn where to sit, how to manage the fire, and when to open a door or shutter to improve the draft. The hearth may be a shallow area on the floor, surrounded by stones, or a more carefully constructed feature. It provides warmth, light, and the heat for cooking. A pot can hang above it from a hook or chain. Bread may be baked in a communal oven, a household oven, beneath a clay cover, or on a heated surface, depending on the region and the wealth of the family. Meat can be roasted near the flames when it is available. More often, a pot of pottage simmers slowly, combining grain, peas, beans, onions, leeks, cabbage, herbs, and whatever else the household possesses. The fire is useful, but it is also greedy. It consumes fuel every day. Wood is not automatically free. Lords, monasteries, towns, and villages regulate access to woodland. A peasant may have customary rights to gather fallen branches, cut certain types of undergrowth, or take limited amounts of timber. In other places, fuel must be bought. Families burn brushwood, coppice branches, peat, turf, dried plant material, charcoal, or even animal dung in regions where wood is scarce. Each fuel behaves differently. Peat can smolder for a long time. Brush burns quickly. Green wood smokes. Dry oak is valuable and may be reserved for building or tools rather than thrown casually into the hearth. Fuel gathering is therefore one of winter's hidden labors. Long before the first frost, people cut, carry, stack, and dry what they can. Children collect small branches. Adults bring home heavier loads. A household that enters winter with an impressive woodpile does not merely possess warmth, it possesses time. Every bundle means one less journey into cold rain or snow. Every dry log means an easier fire. Every shortage means difficult choices between heating, cooking, and preserving the remaining supply. Near bedtime, the family may reduce the flames and cover glowing embers with ash so they survive until morning. This practice does not preserve a roaring fire all night. It preserves the possibility of an easier beginning. At dawn, someone uncovers the coals, adds dry tinder and small pieces of fuel, and encourages the fire back to life. When it works, the first flame of the morning feels like a small victory. When it fails, flint, steel, tinder, patience, and cold fingers must begin again. The household is careful because open fire is as dangerous as cold. Sparks can reach straw, rushes, clothing, stored grain, roof timbers, or bedding. A child can stumble into the hearth. A cooking pot can overturn. A strong wind can change the draft and send smoke or sparks in an unexpected direction. Medieval villages experience house fires, and closely built towns experience devastating ones. Warmth must always be watched. The same flame that keeps the family alive can destroy everything they own before help arrives. The floor beneath your feet may be compacted earth, but it is not necessarily a swamp of permanent filth. Householders sweep it. They may spread rushes, straw, mats, or boards in certain areas. Organic floor coverings become dirty and must be replaced. Archaeology shows layers of occupation and debris, but this does not mean families simply threw fresh rushes over decades of rotting waste without cleaning. People who live close to the ground understand very well that dampness, mold, vermin, and smells make life worse. They cannot eliminate them, but they manage them. Keeping the floor dry matters more than making it soft. Water running from the roof must be directed away from the walls. Thresholds may be raised. Drains, ditches, or sloping ground help prevent flooding. Stored grain must be lifted away from damp. Bedding is aired when weather allows. Clothing is hung near the hearth, though never so close that it catches fire. A house that appears rough from the outside may contain generations of practical adjustments that are almost invisible to a visitor. Look more closely at the walls. They are thicker than the comic image of a basket smeared with mud suggests. Wattle and daub, when well made and maintained, can create effective shelter. The woven frame gives strength. The earthen coating blocks wind. Lime wash may brighten and protect the surface. Cracks are repaired because drafts are obvious and because damaged walls allow rain to penetrate. Moss, cloth, straw, clay, or other materials can be used for temporary repairs, but the main defense is maintenance, not desperate stuffing on the first freezing night. The roof is equally important. Good thatch can shed rain remarkably well when it is steeply pitched and properly laid. It can also provide insulation. It does not inevitably leak after a few months. A neglected roof leaks. A damaged roof leaks. A well-built roof may last for years, though its surface requires repair and replacement. Skilled thatchers understand how to place each bundle so water runs downward rather than inward. Their work is part craft, part engineering, and part local memory. That local memory matters because winter is different in every landscape. A village near the North Sea faces wet wind and salt air. A settlement in the mountains prepares for deep snow and blocked roads. A community in Mediterranean Europe may experience milder temperatures, but still endure cold rain, damp stone walls, and sudden storms. In Eastern Europe, severe continental winters can freeze rivers and roads for long periods. In Scandinavia, darkness itself changes the rhythm of work. Across the medieval world, people do not simply survive a generic season called winter. They survive the winter of their own place. Now imagine that you live in this house. You know which corner stays driest. You know which shutter rattles in an east wind. You know how much fuel remains by the sound the stack makes when a bundle is removed. You know the exact place where smoke gathers on a still night. You know which part of the roof must be repaired before the next heavy rain. None of this knowledge is written in a manual. It is learned by living through one winter after another. As darkness settles, the room becomes smaller. The fire creates a circle of light. And beyond that circle, familiar objects fade into shadow. A bench, a chest, a stool, tools hung on the wall. Baskets, pots, a spindle, perhaps a loom, perhaps harness, perhaps a wooden cradle. The family gathers not because every evening is a desperate struggle against death, but because light and heat are concentrated in one place. The air smells of smoke, wool, food, damp earth, and human life. These are not pleasant or unpleasant in the simple way a modern visitor might decide. They are normal. The family can detect changes inside them. The smell of wet thatch is a warning. The smell of scorched cloth demands immediate attention. The smell of sour grain may reveal spoilage. The smell of smoke in the wrong corner may mean the wind has shifted. There is a supper to finish, animals to check, tools to put away, water to bring in, and tomorrow's work to discuss. Winter may reduce the hours of field labor, but it does not create idleness. It changes the work. Grain must be threshed, tools must be repaired, wool must be spun, cloth must be woven or mended, baskets are made, nets are repaired, manure is moved, livestock must be fed, hedges and fences are maintained when weather allows. Fuel must still be found, food must still be prepared, children must still be watched, and all of it happens within a narrow margin. A wealthy household can buy fuel when its own supply runs low. A poor household may not. A prosperous farmer can slaughter an animal and preserve meat. A laborer may depend on grain wages or charity. One family owns several blankets. Another shares a single heavy cover. The experience of winter is shaped not only by weather but by land, status, age, health, household size, local custom, and luck. This is the first truth of the medieval winter. Cold is never only cold. It is a test of everything around it. The strength of the house, the size of the harvest, the price of grain, the health of the animals, the rights a family holds in the woodland, the quality of clothing, the willingness of neighbors to help, the demands of the Lord, the condition of the roads, the memory of older people who have seen a worse season before. When all of those things work together, winter is difficult but familiar. When several fail at once, the season can become deadly. The second truth is that warmth is worn before it is felt. Medieval people do not possess modern thermal fabrics, waterproof membranes, or factory-made insulation, but they understand layering. A linen garment may be worn next to the skin when linen is available. Over it comes wool. Wool is the essential cold weather material for much of Europe because its crimped fibers trap air and continue to provide some insulation even when damp. A tunic, gown, hood, cloak, stockings, mittens, and cap can turn a cold morning from impossible into merely unpleasant. The quality of those garments varies enormously. A prosperous household may own tightly woven, fulled wool that blocks wind well. Poorer people may wear coarser cloth, patched repeatedly and passed from one person to another. Clothing is valuable because producing it requires a chain of labor that begins long before anyone puts on a coat. Sheep must be raised and shorn. Wool must be cleaned, sorted, carded, or combed, spun, woven, fulled, cut, and sewn. Linen requires flax to be planted, harvested, redded, dried, broken, combed, spun, and woven. Even a simple garment contains many hours of work. This is why medieval people do not treat clothing as disposable. A torn sleeve is repaired. A worn hem is turned. A damaged garment may become a child's garment, then patches, then rags. Good cloth appears in wills and household accounts because it holds real value. A cloak is not merely fashion. It is mobile shelter. A hood protects the head, neck, and shoulders. A long outer garment reduces drafts around the body. Woolen hose cover the legs more effectively than loose fabric alone. Shoes may be lined, layered with cloth or felt, and protected by overshoes in wet conditions. The poorest people still face serious limits. A single cloak cannot be worn by two people at the same time. Wet wool takes time to dry. Shoes wear through. Children grow. A household that has enough clothing in autumn may discover by late winter that seams have opened, soles have cracked, and every spare piece of cloth has already been used. Poverty often appears not as total nakedness, but as insufficient quality, insufficient quantity, and no margin for replacement. The original stories told about medieval winter sometimes imagine peasants wearing every garment they own for months without washing because dirt itself served as insulation. That is a modern fantasy built from old contempt. Dirt does not become a clever substitute for woven cloth. Grease and grime may affect how wind passes through fabric, but they also hold odors, irritate skin, attract vermin, and damage material. People wash bodies and clothing as circumstances allow. They do not bathe according to modern routines, and winter water makes washing difficult. But they are not unaware of cleanliness. Linen undergarments are especially important because they can absorb sweat and oils and can be washed more easily than heavy wool. Outer garments may be brushed, aired, beaten, spot cleaned, or exposed to smoke and sunlight. Bedding can be taken outside in dry weather. Hair is combed. Lice are removed because itching is not a moral lesson anyone enjoys. Soap exists, though quality and access vary. Ash, sand, herbs, cloth, water, and mechanical scrubbing all have uses. Cleanliness is labor, and winter makes that labor harder, but it does not make it meaningless. As night deepens, clothing becomes part of bedding. Some people remove outer garments before sleep. Others remain partly dressed, especially in cold rooms, crowded lodging, military camps, or monastic settings where they may need to rise quickly. There is no universal medieval sleeping costume. A person may sleep in a linen shift, a shirt, a night garment, ordinary clothing, or nothing beneath blankets, depending on region, status, season, and household custom. The bed itself is another place where myths gather. A poor household may indeed use a sack filled with straw, chaff, hay, wool scraps, leaves, or other soft material. Some sleep on pallets that can be moved or rolled away during the day. Others have wooden bedsteads. Prosperous farmers can own substantial beds, feather mattresses, linen sheets, bolsters, blankets, and covers. Beds are expensive objects, and may be inherited. Even among people of modest means, a raised sleeping surface has advantages. It separates the sleeper from the cold ground, damp, insects, and drafts that move along the floor. Straw bedding is not automatically a nest of permanent misery. Fresh straw can be springy, warm, and reasonably comfortable when properly contained. The problem comes as it breaks, flattens, absorbs moisture, and attracts pests. Households replace or refresh it when they can. The timing may follow agricultural availability. After harvest, straw is plentiful. By late winter, every useful bundle has competing demands. It can become animal bedding, roofing material, floor covering, fodder in an emergency, fuel in some circumstances, packing material, or mattress filling. The bed is part of the household economy. Blankets may be woven wool. Coverlets can be made from wool, linen, fur, or combinations of materials. The word quilt appears in medieval contexts, and padded textiles exist, though a poor farmer is unlikely to own the elaborate quilted bedding found in wealthy inventories. Fur can provide excellent warmth, but fine furs are costly. Sheepskin and other locally available hides may be used more widely. Cloaks and spare garments can be spread over sleepers when the night is severe. People often share beds. This is not evidence that privacy does not exist in any form. It is evidence that beds are large, expensive, and warm. Married couples share. Siblings share. Children sleep near adults. Servants may share with other servants. Travelers in inns can be placed beside strangers. A guest may be offered space in an existing bed because hospitality is measured by shelter, not by modern hotel standards. Sharing also conserves heat. Two bodies warm a space more effectively than one. Several children under one cover remain warmer than children separated across the room. But the image of an entire extended family stacked in one bed every night is too simple. Households arrange sleepers according to available furniture, age, gender, work, custom, and modesty. A house may have more than one bed, a bedchamber, a loft, benches, pallets, or a separate room. A prosperous later medieval peasant home can be more internally divided than the famous one-room hut suggests. Animals complicate the picture further. In some rural houses, especially longhouses and buildings divided into domestic and agricultural sections, livestock occupy a space under the same roof. This offers practical benefits. Animals are protected from thieves, predators, and weather. Their heat contributes modestly to the building. Feeding and milking are easier. Yet sharing a roof does not mean that cows routinely sleep in the family bed, or that every pig wanders beside the cooking pot. Often, there is a partition, a lower end of the hall, a byre, stable, or attached structure. Chickens may move more freely than cattle. Dogs and cats are more likely to enter domestic areas. A cherished dog might sleep near people. A cat may settle wherever it pleases, continuing a tradition that requires no historical explanation. Animals produce warmth, but they also produce moisture, noise, waste, and disease. Medieval farmers understand these costs because they live with them daily. The arrangement depends on local architecture. In parts of northern and central Europe, people and livestock under one roof are common. Elsewhere, barns and byres are separate. In warmer regions, animals may remain outside longer. Wealthier households can afford more specialized buildings. Poor households compress activities into fewer spaces. The winter house is therefore less like a universal animal-filled room and more like a flexible machine designed around land, labor, and climate. When everyone finally settles, the night is not silent. The fire cracks. Wind presses against the roof. A cow shifts its weight in the adjoining byre. Someone coughs. Someone snores. A baby wakes. A mouse investigates a basket. Rain taps against thatch. Church bells sound from a distance if the village is close enough to hear them. In a town, carts, watchmen, taverns, dogs, and neighbors add their own noise. Medieval people do not possess quieter nervous systems than we do. They simply become accustomed to familiar sounds and remain alert to unfamiliar ones. Sleep may be interrupted. People wake to feed an infant, urinate, check an animal, adjust the fire, respond to a storm, or calm a frightened child. Some sources from medieval and early modern Europe mention a first sleep and a second sleep, suggesting that waking during the night could be ordinary. Yet historians continue to debate how universal this pattern was. It is safer to imagine varied habits shaped by season, work, household density, and individual bodies than a continent following one perfect two-part schedule. Winter darkness does lengthen the available night. Rural labor begins later when there is no light for outdoor work. People may go to bed earlier, rise for prayer or necessary tasks, sleep again, or remain awake talking near the embers. Artificial light costs money. Candles made from beeswax are desirable, but expensive. Tallow candles are cheaper and smell stronger. Rushlights, oil lamps, resinous wood, and the hearth provide light in different regions. A household does not waste fuel merely to extend the evening without purpose. The period between supper and sleep can be productive. Women and men repair tools, twist rope, mend nets, carve wood, spin thread, sort grain, or prepare work for the next day. Stories are told. Songs are remembered. Children learn prayers, local history, family obligations, and the names of relatives. News from a market, manor court, pilgrimage, war, or neighboring village is repeated and reshaped. Winter preserves oral culture because people spend more hours together indoors. This can sound cozy from a distance. It is sometimes cozy. It can also be tense. Crowded households contain arguments as well as affection. Smoke stings the eyes. Bedding itches. Illness passes from person to person. Adults worry about food stores. Children become restless. Servants have little control over where they sleep. A woman may be nursing an infant while trying to complete textile work. An elderly person may be kept awake by pain. A laborer may dread the morning journey through freezing rain. The room holds all of these experiences at once. Before sleep, many Christian households pray. Compline closes the monastic day, but lay people also know evening prayers, psalms, blessings, and invocations to saints. Night carries spiritual meaning because darkness is associated with uncertainty, temptation, death, and the unseen. A person may cross themselves, bless the bed, ask protection for the household, or remember the dead. These acts are not merely signs of terror. They create routine and order. Prayer marks the boundary between labor and rest. Dreams are taken seriously, though not every dream is treated as prophecy. Medieval thinkers inherit ancient, biblical, medical, and popular traditions about dreaming. Some dreams may be divine, some may arise from bodily conditions, food, emotion, memory, or demonic deception. Clergy warn against careless interpretation. Ordinary people tell dreams because dreams are strange, memorable, and sometimes useful. A bad dream after a heavy supper does not automatically summon an exorcist. A repeated vision connected to illness, guilt, or religious devotion may receive more attention. Sleepwalking, nightmares, paralysis, and night terrors exist, but explanations vary. A physician may discuss humors, digestion, heat, cold, and the brain. A priest may discuss spiritual danger. A family may simply know that one child cries in sleep and another wanders, if not gently guided back to bed. Practical care often exists beneath theoretical explanations. Doors can be secured, fires can be guarded, sharp tools can be moved. Someone can sleep nearby. The night is not conquered by one clever trick. It is managed through layers: wool over linen, thatch over timber, ash over embers, blankets over bodies, people beside people, routine beside uncertainty. And when the cold is deep enough, every layer matters. Warmth alone cannot carry a household to spring. The larger struggle begins in the pantry, the granary, the loft, the cellar, the barrel, and the memory of how much food remains. Winter survival starts at harvest. If grain ripens well and can be brought in dry, the household enters the cold season with options. Wheat may become bread, where soil and status make wheat available. Rye, barley, oats, spelt, millet, and mixed grains are common in different regions. Peas and beans provide valuable protein. Onions, leeks, cabbage, turnips, parsnips, and other vegetables can be stored, dried, or left in protected ground. Apples and pears may be dried. Nuts are gathered. Herbs are hung from beams. Cheese is made when milk is abundant. Butter may be salted. Fish is dried, smoked, salted, or eaten fresh near coasts and rivers. Nothing about this is effortless. Grain must be protected from moisture, rats, mice, insects, thieves, and fire. It may be stored in chests, bins, sacks, lofts, granaries, or ceramic vessels. Each container solves one problem and creates another. A sealed vessel resists pests, but may trap damp. A loft stays dry, but requires lifting heavy loads. A granary separates food from the house, but can be robbed. Stored food is inspected because one spoiled section can spread damage. The family must also preserve seed. This is one of the cruelest calculations in a hungry winter. Grain eaten now cannot be planted in spring. Grain saved for planting does not fill a child's stomach tonight. In an ordinary year, experience guides the balance. In a disastrous year, the future is consumed one handful at a time. The daily meal is built around what lasts. Pottage is ideal because it allows a small amount of grain or legumes to be stretched with water, vegetables, herbs, and occasional meat or fat. The pot can remain near the fire, receiving new ingredients and reheating through the day. It is not a single, unchanging gray substance served everywhere in Europe. A pottage made in a prosperous English household differs from a poor laborer's meal, a Mediterranean bean stew, a Scandinavian porridge, or a Central European cabbage dish. The principle is the same. A warm, moist meal makes limited ingredients easier to eat and digest. Bread is central, but socially varied. Fine white wheat bread is associated with wealth in many regions. Darker breads made from rye, barley, oats, mixed grains, or bran are common lower down the social scale. Bread can be fresh, stale, toasted, soaked in broth, crumbled into pottage, or used as a base beneath other food. In scarcity, grain may be extended with peas, beans, acorns, chestnuts, or inferior substitutes. Chroniclers often notice famine bread precisely because it departs from what people consider acceptable. Ale and beer supply calories, as well as drink in many northern regions. They are not consumed because all water is deadly. Medieval people recognize good springs, wells, streams, and rainwater sources. Brewing changes flavor, stores grain in another form, and creates a beverage with nutritional value. Strength varies. Small ale can be weak enough for ordinary daily use. In wine-producing regions, wine fills related roles. Cider and other fermented drinks appear locally. Hot spiced drinks are possible, but an average peasant household is not pouring exotic spices into every winter cup. Food before bed may be warm and filling, but there is little evidence that peasants follow a formal theory of eating a massive meal to generate heat through digestion. The evening meal is often the main opportunity to gather. And a full stomach certainly makes a cold night easier. Yet the household cannot simply eat as much as it wishes in December. Every extra portion must be taken from January, February, or the uncertain weeks before the next harvest. The pace of consumption changes with the calendar. Soon after harvest, stores are fullest. After autumn slaughter, fresh meat may briefly be more available. Christmas and other feast days create moments of abundance, celebration, and redistribution. By late winter and early spring, the situation tightens. This is sometimes called the hungry gap, the period when stored food dwindles before new crops are ready. Winter survival is therefore not measured by reaching the first mild day. It is measured by reaching the next dependable food. Animals are part of the same calculation. A household cannot keep more livestock through winter than it can feed. Hay must be cut in summer, dried, transported, and stored. Straw can supplement fodder but has other uses. Leaf fodder may be gathered from trees. Root crops and grain can feed animals, but humans also need them. When fodder is limited, animals are slaughtered in autumn. This reduces the number of mouths consuming winter stores and provides meat that can be salted, smoked, dried, or eaten. Salt is valuable because preservation depends upon it. Access and price vary. Coastal salt production can be affected by weather. Inland households may rely on trade. Smoking preserves some foods while adding another demand for fuel. Drying requires favorable conditions. Barrels, crocks, and storage rooms must be maintained. A preserved ham hanging from a beam represents not only food but land, fodder, labor, salt, fuel, slaughtering skill, and successful protection from theft. Livestock that remain alive require daily care. Cows need feeding and water. Sheep must be watched. Pigs must be managed. Chickens continue to require protection even when egg production falls. Frozen water must be broken. Bedding must be changed. Sick animals must be separated if possible. A dead cow can destroy a family's financial security. An ox is not simply meat, it is traction for plowing. A dairy cow supplies milk. Sheep provide wool. A horse may be essential for transport. Their survival is tied to the household's future. This is why people may bring vulnerable animals closer to the house, shelter them under the same roof, or build byres attached to living space. The goal is not only warmth, it is observation. A farmer hears when an animal is restless, ill, giving birth, or threatened. The household can respond before dawn rather than discovering loss in the morning. Water is another quiet winter labor. A village well may freeze at the surface. A stream may be farther away when paths become dangerous. Water is heavy. Carrying it over ice requires balance and time. It is needed for drinking, cooking, brewing, washing, animals, and some crafts. Snow can be melted, but melting consumes fuel and produces less water than a large pile of snow suggests. A household with a reliable nearby spring possesses an advantage that rarely appears in dramatic stories. Winter work follows daylight. At dawn, animals are fed, the fire revived, and breakfast prepared. Men, women, children, servants, and elderly relatives divide tasks according to ability, custom, and necessity. Gender roles matter, but survival does not always respect neat divisions. Women perform enormous amounts of agricultural, domestic, textile, food processing, and market labor. Men may repair tools, thresh grain, cut wood, care for animals, work for wages, or fulfill obligations on the Lord's estate. Children gather fuel, watch animals, carry water, spin, scare birds, run messages, and learn through participation. Threshing is one of winter's great indoor or barn-based labors. Grain heads are beaten with flails to separate kernels. The work is rhythmic and exhausting. Winnowing removes chaff when air movement allows. Grain is measured because rents, tithes, wages, seed, food, and sale all claim portions. A harvest that looked generous in the field becomes smaller as obligations are subtracted. The Lord may demand rent in money, produce, or labor. The church claims tithes in many places. Though practice varies and disputes are common, debts continue through winter. Taxes may arrive. Milling fees must be paid where tenants are required to use the Lord's mill. Oven fees may apply. Marriage, inheritance, entry to land, and legal disputes can create additional costs. Cold weather does not suspend the structures of medieval power. At the same time, manor and village institutions can provide support. Gleaning rights allow the poor to collect grain left after harvest. Common rights may provide pasture, fuel, turf, or woodland products. Charity from monasteries, parishes, lords, confraternities, and neighbors helps some households. Grain may be lent. Food may be distributed on feast days. Wills sometimes include gifts to the poor. None of this creates a universal safety net, but medieval communities are not collections of isolated huts waiting alone for spring. Markets remain essential when roads permit. A peasant may sell eggs, cheese, cloth, firewood, livestock, vegetables, or craft goods, and buy salt, grain, fish, tools, pottery, candles, or cloth. Winter roads can improve when hard frost firms muddy ground, then become dangerous when snow, thaw, or flooding arrives. Rivers freeze in some regions, opening temporary routes or blocking transport depending on conditions. A market trip is never simply shopping. It connects the household to prices, news, credit, employment, and risk. Prices matter most to those with the least stored food. A prosperous farmer may benefit from selling grain when prices rise. A landless laborer suffers because wages do not always rise as quickly. The same winter can produce profit in one household and hunger in the next. This is why the phrase medieval peasants can conceal opposing interests within the same village. Craft work fills the hours when fields are quiet. Spinning is nearly continuous because thread is always needed. Weaving may take place in the home or in specialized workshops. Leather is cut and repaired. Wooden bowls, spoons, handles, pegs, and tools are made. Nets are mended. Baskets are woven. Metalwork may be done by a village smith, whose forge provides a different kind of winter heat. Brewing and baking continue. Some families produce goods specifically for sale to cover rents or taxes due before spring. The winter village therefore hums rather than sleeps. Its sound is softer than harvest, but constant. The thump of a flail in a barn, the scrape of a knife on wood, the creak of a spinning wheel in later periods, or the steady pull of a spindle earlier, the click of a loom, the ring of a hammer, the low voices of people counting stores. Counting is survival. How many sacks remain? How many animals can be fed? How many candles can be spared? How many days until rent is due? How much salt remains in the barrel? How much flour is lost to damp? How many mouths are expected when a married daughter returns with children after her husband falls ill? How long the firewood will last if the weather does not improve? Not every household keeps written accounts, but every household keeps accounts in memory. A woman who manages food stores may know quantities with astonishing precision. An elderly farmer recognizes whether a haystack is shrinking too quickly. A child learns that the large loaf is not cut freely. A servant notices when portions become smaller. Hunger often announces itself first through measurement. As winter advances, meals may thin gradually. Less grain enters the pot, more water does. Meat disappears except on special days. Cheese is reserved. The household begins using inferior stores. Adults may reduce their portions before children, though not every family can do so for long. Work becomes harder as calories fall. Cold feels sharper when the body is underfed. Illness becomes more dangerous. One shortage strengthens the next. This is the third truth of winter. The most important heat in the house may begin months earlier, as sunlight stored in grain, hay, wood, wool, and fat. By midwinter, the family is living on captured summer. Winter also belongs to the calendar, and the calendar belongs to the church. For a Christian peasant in much of medieval Europe, the season is marked by saints' days, fasts, vigils, Christmas, Epiphany, Candlemas, Lent in some years, and local customs that mix official religion with older seasonal habits. These observances do not remove hunger or cold, but they give shape to time. A feast breaks repetition. A procession gathers neighbors. A church bell tells people that the same day is being recognized across the parish. A blessing, a candle, a shared loaf, or a cup of ale creates a moment in which the household is not only enduring winter, but participating in a sacred story. Advent may include fasting or restraint, though practice differs by place and period. Christmas brings celebration where resources permit. The wealthiest manor may distribute food, drink, or fuel. A parish church may receive offerings and return part of them through hospitality. Households save special ingredients for the feast. A pig slaughtered earlier in the season may provide meat. Bread may be finer than usual. Ale may be stronger. Games, songs, visiting, and dancing offer relief from work and worry. The contrast between feast and ordinary day makes both more visible. A family that eats meat at Christmas does not necessarily eat meat regularly. A household that lights extra candles for a holy day cannot afford the same brightness every night. Celebration is meaningful because it interrupts scarcity. The church building itself can become a communal space, though not always a warm one. Stone walls hold cold. Services require standing or kneeling. Breath may be visible in the nave, yet the church offers shelter, ritual, news, charity, and social recognition. People learn who is ill, who has died, who needs help, who has returned from a journey, and which disputes threaten village peace. Clergy preach generosity, but sermons and reality do not always agree. Some priests are attentive to poor parishioners, others are absent, undereducated, overburdened, or more interested in collecting dues. Monasteries can distribute alms and food, especially at gates, while also functioning as landlords that demand rent. The medieval institution is rarely only merciful or only oppressive. It may feed a widow in the morning and pursue an unpaid obligation in the afternoon. Village support operates with the same complexity. Neighbors lend tools, share labor, exchange fuel, watch children, carry news, and help repair damaged roofs. They also quarrel over boundaries, grazing rights, debts, marriage, inheritance, animals, and access to commons. Community is not sentimental unity. It is interdependence among people who may dislike one another but still understand that a fire, flood, illness, or failed harvest can spread consequences across the settlement. If smoke stops rising from a house on a bitter morning, someone may notice. If an elderly woman does not appear at the well, a child may be sent to check. If a roof collapses under snow, neighbors may help clear it. If a family loses its fire, an ember can be carried carefully from another hearth. These acts are plausible and often necessary, but they are not guaranteed. The poorest, most isolated, least popular, or socially marginal people can fall through every relationship around them. Medieval villages contain strangers and outsiders, as well as families rooted for generations. Seasonal workers move, beggars travel, pilgrims pass through, discharged soldiers return, widows remarry into new communities, children are fostered or sent into service. A newcomer's chance of receiving help may depend on reputation, kinship, parish membership, and the resources available. Hospitality is a moral obligation, but it is also expensive during scarcity. Winter makes inequality visible in the body. A wealthy farmer can remain indoors during the worst storm. A poor laborer may have to walk to work because missing a day means losing wages or food. A lord's household can burn more fuel. A tenant may be forbidden to cut wood beyond customary limits. A merchant can purchase grain from elsewhere. An isolated village may have no such option. A healthy adult can tolerate cold that endangers an infant, an elderly person, or someone weakened by disease. Children are especially vulnerable, but they are not passive. They work, observe, learn, and contribute. A young child can gather small sticks, feed chickens, carry kindling, sort beans, twist fibers, or watch a pot. Older children take on serious responsibilities. They herd animals, carry water, help thresh, spin, mend, and travel with messages. Winter teaches them the architecture of survival. Which wood catches quickly, which snowdrift hides a ditch, which animal must be fed first, which neighbor can be asked for help, which stores must never be touched without permission. The elderly carry another kind of value. They remember weather patterns, famine years, disease, prices, local remedies, and methods that younger adults may have forgotten. An old person who cannot perform heavy labor may still supervise children, mend equipment, tell stories, identify signs of spoilage, or advise when to slaughter an animal. Their dependence and usefulness exist together. Medieval families do not divide people neatly into productive and unproductive categories. Contribution changes with age. Illness threatens every household more severely in winter. Cold itself does not create infection, but crowded rooms, smoke, damp, poor nutrition, and close contact help respiratory illness spread and make recovery harder. A cough can remain minor. It can also become pneumonia. Fever can take a child within days. Chronic conditions worsen when food is scarce and movement is limited. Smoke from open hearths irritates eyes and lungs. Women and young children may experience especially high exposure because they spend more time near cooking fires, though household patterns vary. Soot blackens beams and settles on objects. Carbon monoxide is an invisible danger in poorly ventilated spaces, even if medieval people cannot name it. Headache, dizziness, confusion, and sudden death may be attributed to other causes. Damp creates its own problems. Wet clothing chills the body. Mold spoils food and bedding. Mud around the house causes falls. Frozen paths break bones. An injury that would be inconvenient today can destroy a livelihood when there is no effective surgery, no antibiotics, and no wage support. A broken leg may prevent spring plowing. A cut can become infected. Frostbite damages fingers and toes, though dramatic claims that villagers routinely wake with body parts frozen solid exaggerate the ordinary experience. People use remedies drawn from household knowledge, local healers, monastic medicine, physicians where available, and religious practice. Warm drinks, honey, herbs, poultices, rest, broth, steam, and prayer all appear. Some remedies offer real relief, others do little. Some cause harm. Access to trained medical practitioners depends heavily on place and wealth. A rural household often begins with what it already knows. Women hold much of this practical knowledge, especially around childbirth, nursing, food, herbs, and everyday illness. Their expertise may not enter learned medical books, but it shapes survival. A grandmother knows how a fever usually develops. A mother recognizes dangerous breathing. A midwife understands when a labor is going wrong. A neighbor brings broth. A healer prepares an herbal mixture. Care is distributed across relationships long before a university-trained physician appears. the limits remain severe. Childbirth can be fatal in any season, but winter complicates travel and access to assistance. Infants struggle to maintain body temperature. A mother weakened by poor nutrition produces less milk. Disease can move through a crowded household. Burial becomes difficult when ground freezes. Grief sits beside practical necessity because animals still need feeding and food still needs cooking. Death is familiar, but familiarity is not indifference. Medieval parents grieve children. Spouses grieve one another. Communities remember the dead through masses, prayers, anniversaries, gifts, and stories. The idea that people expect death and therefore care less is false. They care within a world that provides fewer ways to prevent loss. The household prepares spiritually because uncertainty is real. Before a journey in bad weather, someone may pray to a saint. A candle blessed at Candlemas may be lit during a storm. Holy water may be used in the house. Crosses or religious images mark domestic space. These practices can be comforting, protective, habitual, and communal at the same time. Popular belief also fills winter darkness with dangers that are not purely physical. Ghosts, restless dead, fairies, demons, witches, and ominous animals appear in stories. Such tales differ across Europe and change over time. They are not proof that everyone believes every frightening story literally. They are part of how people discuss risk, morality, memory, and the uncertainty of night. A traveler who disappears in snow may become a ghost story. A child who wanders near dangerous water may be warned about a spirit. A strange noise in the roof becomes an animal, a soul, or both, depending on who tells the story. The tale helps listeners remember the place and the danger. Fear can protect as well as mislead. Winter evenings are therefore classrooms. Adults tell saints' lives, folk tales, family histories, jokes, riddles, songs, and accounts of past disasters. A severe winter experienced by grandparents becomes a reference point for decades. People compare snow depth, frozen rivers, lost animals, and the price of bread. Memory becomes a practical archive. This archive is not perfectly accurate. Stories grow. A storm that killed 3 sheep becomes a storm that buried the village. A wolf seen once becomes a pack that followed a traveler for miles. A household that nearly ran out of food becomes a family that survived on bark. Exaggeration does not make the underlying experience meaningless. It reveals what people feared and admired. The same process shapes modern stories about medieval winter. We inherit the smoke, mud, straw, hunger, and animals, then enlarge them until every household looks identical and every night becomes a contest with death. The truth is quieter. Most nights end with people sleeping. Most fires remain under control. Most roofs remain standing. Most animals survive. Most families reach morning. That ordinary success leaves fewer records than catastrophe. A manor court records a dispute over fuel rights. A chronicle records famine. An archaeological layer records fire. A will records blankets, clothing, and debts. A skeleton records malnutrition or injury. None of these sources gives us a complete winter evening. To reconstruct one, historians must combine architecture, objects, environmental evidence, legal documents, accounts, art, literature, and comparison. Even then, uncertainty remains. We can know that a house had a hearth without knowing who sat closest. We can know that a woman owned 2 blankets without knowing which child she covered first. We can know that grain prices rose without knowing the exact moment a family began watering the pottage. We can know that a storm damaged a region without hearing the sound it made on one roof. A careful story does not fill every silence with misery. It leaves room for competence, routine, affection, conflict, boredom, humor, and hope. On many winter evenings, someone laughs. A child imitates the manor reeve. A dog steals food. A spindle falls into the rushes. An old story is told badly on purpose. A young couple finds an excuse to sit close. A neighbor arrives carrying news and stays longer than expected. The household may be cold, but it is alive. That laughter is as historical as hunger. There are, however, winters when ordinary competence is overwhelmed. The worst crises rarely begin with one cold night. They begin with sequences. Rain at the wrong time, grain that cannot ripen, hay that cannot dry, seed rotting in waterlogged soil, animals standing in mud until disease spreads, a harvest too small to support the population, prices rising, stores exhausted early. Another season of bad weather before recovery is possible. The Great Famine that struck much of northern Europe in the early 14th century shows how this process works. Persistent rain and cool conditions damaged crops across several years. Haymaking failed in many areas. Livestock suffered. Grain prices rose sharply. Salt production and transport faced disruption in some regions, making preservation more difficult. People entered winter with fewer supplies, then faced another failed growing season. The disaster was not simply a very cold winter. It was a breakdown across agriculture, markets, health, and social support. A family can survive a storm when the granary is full. It cannot easily survive repeated harvest failure when grain is expensive. Animals are dying, wages are uncertain, and everyone nearby is also in need. Chronicles describe desperate foods, crime, abandoned children, and even cannibalism. Such reports must be handled carefully. Medieval chroniclers use horror to communicate moral collapse, divine punishment, or the exceptional nature of an event. Some claims may be exaggerated or repeated from rumor, yet the famine itself is beyond doubt. Malnutrition, disease, and mortality rose. Poor people suffered first and most. Land was abandoned in some areas. Social relationships came under pressure. A winter crisis reveals the limits of community. A neighbor can share a loaf once. A village cannot create grain that does not exist. A monastery can distribute alms until its own stores shrink. A lord may reduce rents, extend credit, import food, or do nothing. A merchant may move grain from surplus regions, but only if roads, ships, prices, and political conditions allow it. Markets can save lives. They can also place food beyond the reach of those without money. Authorities sometimes attempt to control prices, prevent hoarding, regulate bread, or restrict exports. These measures have mixed results. Bakers may be accused of using poor ingredients or reducing loaf size. Grain dealers may be blamed for scarcity. Crowds may attack stores. Official action can redistribute food, but it cannot guarantee fairness. Hunger turns economic decisions into moral conflicts. The experience differs sharply by region. Northern Europe's famine does not strike every part of the continent with equal force. Mediterranean agriculture follows different patterns. Mountain communities have different crops, storage traditions, and routes. Coastal settlements may rely more heavily on fish and maritime trade. Pastoral communities depend on animal survival. Towns can import food, but contain dense populations with limited private stores. Climate itself is not uniform. The phrase "Little Ice Age" is often used too casually, as if Europe suddenly entered permanent winter during the Middle Ages. Climatic change develops unevenly across centuries and regions. Some medieval periods are relatively mild. Others experience clusters of cold, wet, dry, or unstable weather. A local winter remembered as severe may occur during a broader period that is not uniformly cold. For the peasant household, global labels matter less than the field outside the door. Did autumn rain prevent sowing? Did snow protect winter grain or crush a roof? Did a hard frost improve the road or kill young plants? Did a thaw flood the low meadow? Did spring arrive early and then retreat? Weather becomes history through crops, animals, prices, and bodies. Snow itself is both danger and resource. A deep layer can isolate a settlement, block grazing, hide hazards, and collapse weak structures. It can also insulate winter crops and protect soil from extreme temperature changes. Frozen ground makes digging difficult, but can make travel over muddy terrain easier. A frozen river can become a road until it becomes a trap. People read ice because their survival depends on knowing whether it will hold. Storm preparation begins with observation, the color of the sky, the direction of wind, animal behavior, cloud formations, and remembered signs all guide decisions. Some weather lore has practical value, some is coincidence. People do not need modern meteorology to understand that a falling pressure cannot be named, but a certain wind often brings snow. When severe weather arrives, outdoor labor is reduced to necessity. Animals must be reached, fuel must be brought in, roofs may need emergency repair. Travelers caught away from home seek shelter in barns, churches, inns, monasteries, or other households. Hospitality can become life-saving. Refusing shelter in dangerous weather carries moral weight, though fear of thieves and limited food make every stranger a difficult decision. Roads can disappear beneath snow, landmarks vanish. A route known from childhood becomes dangerous when ditches fill and fields look identical. Bells may be rung to guide travelers near a village or religious house in some places. Dogs, staffs, ropes, lanterns, and companions reduce risk. Traveling alone is avoided when conditions are severe, but necessity still sends people out. The body's response to cold is understood through experience even without modern terminology. Shivering means the body is fighting. Numbness is dangerous. Wet clothing must be changed or dried. Exhaustion makes cold worse. Alcohol may create a feeling of warmth while increasing risk, though medieval people do not describe the physiology in modern terms. Food, movement, shelter, and dry layers are the reliable defenses. The source story's suggestion that peasants practiced a special method of shallow winter breathing has no strong historical foundation. People certainly cover their mouths with cloth in cold wind, and breathing through the nose can warm air more than open-mouth breathing. But medieval families do not appear to conduct formal lessons in minimizing respiration to avoid pneumonia. Such details sound convincing because they are specific, not because they are supported. The same caution applies to heated stones. People across many periods warm bricks, stones, metal pans, ceramic vessels, or containers of hot water and place them near beds. The idea is simple and plausible. Evidence and terminology vary. A stone taken directly from intense fire can crack, burn cloth, ignite straw, or cause injury. If used, it must be heated and wrapped with care. This is one household technique among many, not the secret that saves medieval Europe. Hay boxes or insulated cooking containers also make sense as fuel-saving devices, but their documented use is clearer in later periods than in the medieval peasant world described by popular videos. Medieval cooks do use residual heat. Pots can remain near embers. Ovens retain warmth after baking. Food can be wrapped or covered. Yet we should not place a standardized modern haybox cooker in every 13th century cottage simply because the principle is old. Sleeping in shifts to guard the fire may occur in exceptional circumstances, crowded institutions, camps, or households with urgent responsibilities. It is not established as a normal, universal winter system. Ash-banked embers reduce the need for a person to sit awake all night. Infants, illness, Animals, storms, and anxiety interrupt sleep naturally. Some families surely check the hearth, but imagining half the village operating a formal night watch turns plausible behavior into unsupported routine. Historical accuracy often requires giving up the most memorable detail. The reality remains dramatic without invention. Imagine a family after 3 days of freezing rain. The outer wool garments are damp, despite careful hanging. Fuel is disappearing faster than planned. A cow has stopped eating. The roof does not collapse, but water has found a weakness near the wall. The youngest child is coughing. Grain remains, though less than anyone wants. No single problem is fatal. Together, they create fear. The adults do not announce that they are demonstrating resilience. They move. One checks the roof, one rubs down the animal, one prepares broth. A child fetches the driest available kindling. Someone visits a neighbor who knows more about cattle. A blanket is shifted toward the sick child. Supper portions are adjusted without discussion. Prayer is spoken because action has reached its limit. This is how most survival looks, not heroic poses. Small decisions made before the next problem arrives. Sometimes the decisions fail. A roof gives way. An animal dies. A fever worsens. A store of grain is discovered moldy. A traveler never returns. Records rarely tell us exactly how the household experiences these moments. A death may appear in a burial register only in later medieval or early modern contexts. A property transfer may reveal that a tenant died. A court case may mention an orphan. A skeleton may show stress experienced years before death. Winter mortality is difficult to measure across the medieval period because documentation is incomplete and causes of death are often unknown. It is therefore misleading to claim that entire villages regularly wake to frozen households. Catastrophic losses happen, but popular descriptions turn possibilities into normal events. Most medieval people die from combinations of disease, malnutrition, injury, childbirth, violence, and age, rather than being found neatly frozen beside an extinguished hearth. Cold acts as an accomplice. It weakens. It isolates. It increases fuel needs. It limits food. It turns a minor illness into a crisis. It slows help. It does not need to kill directly to shape mortality. Fire can become the opposite catastrophe. During severe cold, people bring flames closer to bedding, dry clothing near heat, burn poor fuel, block drafts, and crowd indoors. These choices increase fire and smoke risk. A family trying not to freeze may reduce ventilation too far. A spark from the hearth may reach thatch. In a village, neighbors can form lines with buckets, pull down burning material, rescue animals, and clear nearby roofs. Water may be frozen or distant. A nighttime fire in winter is among the most terrifying events imaginable. Because survivors lose shelter at the moment, shelter matters most. Rebuilding depends on community and status. Timber, thatch, labor, tools, and permission may be needed. A lord may assist or demand obligations. Neighbors may host the displaced. A family with kin elsewhere may move temporarily. A poor household without support can slide into landlessness, service, begging, or migration after one disaster. This is why resilience should never be confused with invulnerability. Medieval peasants develop extraordinary skills because they live with repeated risk. Those skills increase the chance of survival. They do not guarantee it. A modern observer may admire their endurance and overlook the injustice that makes endurance necessary. Peasants produce food, rents, taxes, and labor that support castles, monasteries, courts, towns, and armies. During scarcity, elites often possess greater stores and greater ability to purchase more. Some fulfill obligations of protection and charity. Others continue demanding payment, while tenants starve. Winter is natural, Vulnerability is partly social. A well-built house, adequate commons, secure land tenure, fair access to fuel, stored grain, healthy livestock, and reliable neighbors transform the same temperature into a manageable season. Remove several of those protections, and the cold becomes lethal. The weather does not choose between rich and poor, but wealth changes the consequences. As the storm passes, the village counts damage. Footprints appear in new snow. Smoke rises again. A roof is patched. A burial may be arranged. An animal carcass may be salvaged if safe. Water is carried. The fire is rebuilt. The season continues because it must. To understand how all these systems fit together, follow one household through an ordinary winter day. The village lies in southern England in the later 14th century, though the family's experience is only one possibility among thousands. The house belongs to a tenant farmer who is neither destitute nor wealthy. He controls enough land to grow grain, keeps a cow, several sheep, pigs, and chickens, and owes rent and services connected to the manor. His wife manages food, dairy work, textiles, poultry, household exchange, and much of the labor that makes the holding function. 2 children remain at home. An older daughter works in another household nearby. A widowed relative sleeps beside the family and contributes through spinning, childcare, and memory. Before dawn, the house is dark, except for a faint red line beneath ash in the hearth. The first person awake listens before moving. Wind. No heavy rain. The cow shifting in the byre. A child breathing evenly. The roof quiet. These sounds provide a report before the eyes can see. The embers are uncovered. Dry material is placed carefully over them. Breath encourages a glow, though not the mythical, shallow breathing prescribed by modern storytellers. A small flame appears. More fuel follows. The family has done this so often that the sequence requires little speech. Water in a vessel has a skin of ice because the room cooled during the night. It is broken and poured into the pot. Oatmeal or another grain is added. Yesterday's bread is set near the fire to soften. The meal is plain but warm. The adults eat while discussing the day's tasks. Grain must be threshed. A section of hedge has been damaged. The cow must be watched. A neighbor plans to travel to market and can carry a message. The children dress near the fire. Linen, if they have it, then wool, a patched hood, hose, shoes that have been repaired more than once. Their clothing is not a pile of filthy rags. It is a carefully maintained collection that never feels sufficient. One child complains about a rough seam. The complaint is heard, then ignored, until there is enough light to inspect it. Outside, the cold is immediate. Frost covers the lane. The manure pile steams faintly. The village is waking in sections. Smoke rises from one house, then another. A rooster begins its work late and with unnecessary confidence. Someone is already carrying water. Someone else is leading an animal from shelter. The farmer checks livestock before walking to the barn. He runs a hand along the cow's flank, looks at the eyes, and watches how it stands. Medieval veterinary knowledge combines experience, inherited remedies, and learned texts available mostly to elites. He does not know modern microbiology, but he knows the difference between a healthy animal and one that may not survive. His wife measures grain for the day. She knows the household has enough if nothing goes wrong. That phrase contains the entire winter. Enough if the cow lives. Enough if no guests remain long. Enough if rent is not increased. Enough if the stored peas stay dry. Enough if no one becomes too sick to work. Enough is not abundance. It is a narrow agreement with the future. She begins textile work. Once immediate chores are complete, spinning can happen while supervising children, talking, walking short distances, or sitting near the fire. The spindle turns accumulated wool into thread, one length at a time. This labor is repetitive, but not simple. The thickness must remain useful. Weak places must be corrected. Thread will become cloth. Cloth will become clothing, and clothing will preserve heat. The older relative sorts beans and tells a story about a winter from childhood when a river froze hard enough for carts. The details have become polished through repetition. Perhaps the river froze, perhaps carts crossed, perhaps the ice only seemed strong enough to a frightened child. The family knows the story and still listens. In the barn, flails rise and fall. The sound carries across the yard. Threshing releases grain while filling the air with dust. The workers pause to breathe, drink, and complain. Jokes make rhythm easier. The grain will be divided, measured, and guarded. None of the kernels looks like politics, but rents, tithes, markets, and survival are contained in the pile. At midday, the family eats again. Pottage, bread, perhaps cheese. The meal is not designed for spectacle. It is designed to continue the day. Salt is used carefully. A little fat improves flavor and calories. The children want more. They are given enough, though no one agrees on what enough means. A traveler passes through the village carrying news that a nearby road is flooded after a thaw. He is offered a place near the fire for a short time and a drink. Hospitality has limits. The family cannot feed every traveler, yet news has value. He reports grain prices at market, the condition of a bridge, and rumors of a lord preparing for war. Some information is accurate, some is not. The household must decide which part matters. The afternoon light fades early. Outdoor work is finished before darkness makes tools and uneven ground dangerous. Animals are brought under shelter. The damaged hedge receives only a temporary repair. Better work must wait for weather. Fuel is carried inside. Mud is scraped from shoes. Damp clothing is hung. Supper begins before full dark. The room grows smoky while the fire is adjusted for cooking. The pot releases steam. A dog positions itself where scraps are most likely to fall. The youngest child attempts to feed it secretly and is observed by everyone. After the meal, the household works in the firelight. A wooden handle is repaired. A sock is darned. Wool is spun. The farmer counts what must be paid. His wife corrects his memory about the number of stored cheeses. The older relative remembers who borrowed a basket. Household administration happens without a desk, a formal title, or a surviving archive. A neighbor arrives to discuss the cow. He examines it, offers advice, and stays for conversation. The room becomes warmer with another body. News moves again. A wedding may be delayed. Someone is ill. A boundary dispute is going to the manor court. A young man wants to leave for town. Winter is not isolation from society. It is society compressed into fewer spaces. When the neighbor leaves, the door opens briefly and cold air rolls across the floor. Everyone reacts. The door closes. The warmth slowly returns. This small event explains why medieval houses value thresholds, shutters, curtains, internal partitions, and careful movement. Heat is too costly to lose without reason. The family prays. Beds are prepared. A pallet is placed where it will not block the door. The best cover goes over the youngest child and the older relative. Adults share another bed. The dog settles near the hearth. Livestock remain behind a partition. No goat is placed ceremonially between sleeping children. No one ties themselves into a human survival formation. They arrange their bodies according to habit and need. The fire is banked. Darkness fills the room. During the night, someone wakes. There is no official watch period. A sound from the byre has disturbed the farmer. He checks the cow, then adjusts the embers. His wife wakes and asks, "What is wrong?" Nothing yet. They lie down again. For several hours, the house is quiet. At dawn, the sequence begins again. This ordinary day contains no miraculous technique. Its success depends on planning, skill, work, property, family structure, animal health, social relationships, and the absence of catastrophe. The household survives not because medieval bodies are tougher than modern bodies, but because people organize life around conditions they expect, move several hundred miles, and the details change. In a Scandinavian farm, the house may be designed around longer darkness, different timber traditions, and livestock management suited to colder conditions. Fish, preserved meat, dairy products, and grains adapted to northern climates shape the diet. Skiing, sleds, and knowledge of snow may make travel possible when an English lane would simply become difficult. In an alpine settlement, buildings may use stone and timber, with steep roofs and storage arranged for deep snow. Communities manage mountain pasture, hay, and seasonal movement. Avalanches create dangers unknown in lowland England. Sun reaches valleys unevenly. A route open in autumn may vanish until spring. In Central and Eastern Europe, continental cold can be severe, but house forms, stoves, forests, and food traditions offer different defenses. Enclosed masonry or ceramic stoves can heat rooms more efficiently than an open hearth in some regions and periods. Rye, cabbage, legumes, preserved meat, and fermented foods support winter diets. Villages near forests may have fuel access that treeless regions lack. In the Mediterranean, winter is milder on average, but not always easy. Stone houses can remain damp and cold. Mountain districts receive snow. Heavy rain damages roads and crops. Olive, vine, wheat, legumes, and pastoral systems create different seasonal pressures. People may fear winter rain as much as northern frost because too little or too much water threatens the next harvest. In Byzantine lands, the Islamic world, and medieval Jewish communities, domestic life follows different religious calendars, legal traditions, food rules, technologies, and urban connections. The general problem of winter remains, but solutions are not confined to Latin Christian Europe. Braziers, ovens, baths, textiles, trade networks, charity institutions, and architectural forms create other histories of warmth and scarcity. Even within one kingdom, coast and inland, mountain and plain, town and village, free tenant and serf, widow and married man, child and elder inhabit different winters. A fishing household may risk storms to maintain food. A charcoal burner may live near abundant fuel, but far from markets. A shepherd may spend nights in exposed shelter. A miller depends on water that can freeze or flood. A blacksmith enjoys heat while working, but must secure fuel and metal. Town dwellers face their own conditions. Urban houses may be tightly packed, reducing exposure on shared walls, but increasing fire risk. Fuel and food are bought more often. Poor tenants occupy upper or subdivided rooms. Inns and hospitals shelter travelers and the sick. Markets provide variety until supply fails. Street noise, smoke, waste, and crowding make winter different rather than easier. The word peasant is least useful when it encourages us to imagine one anonymous man in one muddy hut. Rural society includes women managing holdings, servants on annual contracts, cottagers with little land, prosperous farmers, shepherds, gardeners, dairy workers, craft specialists, charcoal burners, miners, fishers, and laborers moving between tasks. They share subordination within larger social systems, but not identical lives. Their winter strategies are equally diverse. Some own ovens, some use communal facilities, some burn peat, some burn wood, some have chimneys by the later Middle Ages, some use open hearths, some sleep in lofts, some in halls, some keep cattle under the same roof, some do not. Some have feather beds, some sleep on straw, some eat meat regularly, Some taste it mainly at feasts. A truthful script must resist replacing one stereotype with another. Medieval peasants are not helpless victims trembling in darkness. They are also not cheerful survival experts, perfectly adapted to hardship. They are people with knowledge and limits. The limits are part of the story. The family we followed can survive the ordinary winter because it has land, animals, labor, kin, and community. A landless widow with 2 young children may have fewer protections. She can spin, brew, wash, glean, sell small goods, work seasonally, receive charity, and rely on relatives, but one illness can remove her income. A disabled laborer may depend on household membership or parish support. An orphan may enter service. A stranger may be refused settlement because the community fears future costs. Medieval support systems often ask who belongs. Rights to common land, charity, work, and shelter can depend on residence, status, reputation, and relationships. Winter makes belonging material. It determines who receives an ember, a place near the hearth, a loaf, or a warning before the road closes. This is why the village is both protection and pressure. Everyone sees who contributes. Everyone notices who takes more than expected. Gossip enforces behavior. Shame can produce help or cruelty. A generous household earns memory. A suspected thief loses trust. An unmarried mother, migrant, religious minority, or socially awkward person may face judgments that affect survival. The warm circle around the hearth has an edge. History should notice the people standing near it. By the time the year turns toward late winter, the household begins watching for signs that would be easy to miss in a modern city. The angle of light changes. Birds behave differently. Water moves beneath ice. Buds appear on protected branches. Sheep grow restless. Mud replaces frozen ground during the day and hardens again at night. The first hints of spring do not end danger. They often begin a more anxious phase. Fuel is low. Food stores are lower. Roads become almost impassable when thaw turns them into deep mud. Rivers rise. Roofs reveal damage hidden by cold. Animals weakened through winter face disease. Seed must be protected even as hunger increases. Work expands before nutrition improves. The earliest spring greens are welcomed because they add variety and nutrients. But gathering wild plants requires knowledge. Some are edible, some are medicinal, some are dangerous. Children learn where to find nettles, sorrel, herbs, roots, and leaves appropriate to local custom. Modern romantics sometimes describe medieval peasants living freely from nature. In reality, wild foods supplement agriculture. They rarely replace a failed grain harvest for an entire community. The first plowing can determine the future. Oxen or horses must be strong enough. Harness must be repaired. Soil must be workable. Seed must be sound. If the household ate too much seed grain, less land can be planted. If animals died, neighbors may combine teams or charge for assistance. If a laborer is ill, work falls on fewer bodies. Spring exposes every loss accumulated in winter, yet it also brings movement. Doors remain open longer. Bedding is carried outside. Smoke-stained interiors receive air. Clothing is washed, beaten, brushed, or repaired in better weather. Animals spend more time outside. The floor can be cleaned more thoroughly. Thatch is inspected. Walls are patched. Manure is spread on fields. The house appears to expand as outdoor space becomes usable again. The emotional change is difficult to document, but it is not hard to imagine. Light returns. The fire is still needed, but it is no longer the only center of life. Children run farther from the doorway. Neighbors speak in the lane instead of crowding near one hearth. A journey to market becomes easier. The sound of tools returns to fields. Survival becomes visible in what remains. A stack of grain, a living cow, a repaired cloak, a child who has grown, an elder who can sit in sunlight, a roof that endured, a debt that did not become eviction. These are not grand medieval achievements. They are the achievements that make grand history possible. Kings can summon armies only because rural households produce food. Cathedrals rise because workers are fed, taxed, trained, and organized. Towns expand because grain, wool, timber, fuel, and labor flow from the countryside. Monasteries pray because estates support them. Merchants trade because peasants generate goods. The winter survival of ordinary households is not a side story beneath medieval history. It is part of the structure holding the period together. That structure is often missing from written sources because writing favors institutions and elites. Lords produce charters. Monasteries keep accounts. Kings issue orders. Courts record disputes. Peasants appear when they owe, buy, sell, inherit, break rules, resist, testify, or die. Their competence is rarely praised because it is expected. Archaeology restores part of what the documents overlook. Postholes reveal house plans. Burned grain reveals storage and disaster. Animal bones reveal diet, slaughter patterns, and livestock management. Pollen and seeds reveal crops and landscape. Soot reveals hearths. Textiles, spindle whorls, loom weights, needles, and shears reveal labor. Wear on skeletons reveals repeated physical strain. Childhood stress can remain marked in teeth and bone. Buildings that survive challenge the idea that every peasant home is temporary rubbish. Later, medieval rural houses can be carefully framed, repaired, expanded, and occupied for generations. Their owners invest in durability because customary tenants and prosperous farmers possess more resources and security than the poorest stereotype allows. Other homes disappear because they were lighter, poorer, rebuilt, abandoned, or erased by later development. Inventories and wills show beds, blankets, sheets, clothing, pots, chests, tools, animals, grain, and debts. These lists can feel dry until you remember that every object has a winter use. A chest keeps cloth and food safe. A pot turns grain into a warm meal. A blanket determines who sleeps comfortably. A cloak allows work outside. A sheep represents future wool. A candle extends usable time. Manorial records show arguments over wood, pasture, animals, rents, and labor. A complaint about unauthorized branch cutting may reveal fuel scarcity. A fine for damaged hedges may reveal the importance of boundaries and wind protection. A dispute over grazing shows how winter fodder and common rights affect survival. Legal language turns daily necessity into evidence. Literature adds atmosphere but must be read carefully. Poets use winter to symbolize age, hardship, death, loneliness, or moral testing. Saints endure cold to demonstrate holiness. Romance heroes cross snow to prove courage. Satirists exaggerate dirty peasants or greedy landlords. These works reveal attitudes and images, not straightforward household surveys. Art also simplifies. Calendar scenes show seasonal labor in recognizable forms. Peasants warm themselves at fires, slaughter animals, gather wood, feast, or work in snow. The scenes are organized symbolically and often created for wealthy patrons. They tell us what elite viewers expected winter labor to look like. They do not show every worn shoe, every argument over grain, or every hour spent spinning. Modern reenactment and experimental archaeology can test how buildings, clothing, hearths, and tools perform. A reconstructed wattle and daub wall may block wind better than expected. A wool cloak may remain useful in damp conditions. A thatched roof may keep a room dry. An open hearth may create a warm zone rather than heating the whole house. These experiments cannot reproduce medieval bodies, diets, knowledge, or social relations, but they challenge assumptions. One powerful assumption is that people of the past must have felt cold less intensely. Acclimatization is real. A body used to lower indoor temperatures experiences them differently from someone accustomed to central heating. Habits, clothing, activity, and expectation matter. But medieval people still shiver. They still seek warmth. They still complain about weather. They still suffer injury and illness. Familiar hardship remains hardship. Another assumption is that cold automatically creates solidarity. It can. It can also intensify conflict. Fuel theft, grain hoarding, disputed charity, unpaid rent, wandering livestock, and competition for work all become sharper when resources shrink. The same neighbor who shares an ember may sue over a boundary. The same lord who distributes Christmas food may evict a tenant later. Humans do not become simple because the temperature falls. A third assumption is that poverty makes people passive. Rural communities negotiate, evade, resist, and rebel. Peasants defend customary rights to woods, pasture, and common land because those rights have direct winter value. They appear in courts, organize collectively, conceal resources, move animals, delay payments, and sometimes rise in open revolt. The struggle over winter survival can become a struggle over power. Fuel rights are a good example. A lord may see woodland as timber, hunting ground, and revenue. Villagers see fallen branches, grazing, leaf fodder, building materials, tools, fences, and warmth. Rules governing collection are therefore not minor details. They determine whether a widow can cook, whether a household can repair a roof, and whether animals can be fed. Food obligations carry the same weight. A rent measured in grain removes calories from the household. A tithe supports the church, but can be resented during scarcity. A market toll raises costs. A lord's mill converts grain but charges for the service. None of these institutions exists only to torment peasants. Mills, roads, churches, and administration provide real functions. Yet the burden is experienced at the level of the cooking pot. This is where a careful history differs from a comforting story about resilience. Admiring ingenuity should not make exploitation disappear. A family that survives on thin pottage while an elite household holds a feast is not simply demonstrating toughness. It is living inside a distribution of power. Nor should suffering erase joy. Peasants marry in winter. Children are born. People dance at feasts, gamble, sing, court, drink, tease, and visit. Snow becomes play when there is enough food and shelter. A frozen pond becomes useful. A clear, cold day can be beautiful. A night beside a steady fire can be restful. The range of emotion is important because medieval peasants are often used as symbols. They become either miserable creatures of mud or noble ancestors who knew the value of community. Both versions flatten them. They possess kindness and cruelty, wisdom and error, patience and anger, generosity and self-interest. Like people in every period, their knowledge is local, embodied, and often unspectacular. They know how to stack fuel so it dries, how to judge grain by smell, how to keep a draft from a child's bed, how to repair a shoe with limited leather, how to identify a sheep that will not survive the season, how to use one fire for cooking, light, warmth, drying, and craft, how to remember debts without paper, how to make a feast from stores that must still last. This knowledge is not primitive. It is specialized adaptation to a world with different tools and constraints. There are things a modern visitor would do badly. We would burn fuel too quickly. We would misunderstand the hearth's draft. We would struggle to keep wool dry. We would waste food by trimming away useful parts. We would fail to recognize spoilage early. We would not know which rights allowed us into the woodland. We would tire during threshing. We would discover that carrying water is not a minor chore. The medieval peasant might be equally confused by a thermostat, a refrigerator, synthetic insulation, weather forecasts, electric light, supermarkets, antibiotics, and a household in which every person expects a private bed. Neither world proves greater human worth. Technology changes the amount of labor, risk, and suffering attached to basic needs. Modern comfort can make medieval hardship feel like entertainment. We listen beneath blankets while a narrator describes freezing cottages, smoky fires, and hungry children. The distance creates safety. The past becomes atmospheric. A responsible story keeps the people inside the atmosphere. The smoke stings real eyes. The empty store worries real parents. The rent is demanded from real labor. The child beneath the blanket is not a symbol of resilience. The child is cold. And still, the morning comes. Return now to the village on a night near the end of winter. The sky is clear, and the cold has sharpened every sound. Moonlight rests on the thatch. The lane is hard beneath your feet. Beyond the houses, the fields lie pale and still, holding seed, stubble, water, and the promise of work that cannot yet begin. From the outside, each house seems quiet. Inside, each contains a different world. In one, a prosperous farmer sleeps beneath wool blankets while two servants share a pallet near the hall. His grain stores are low but secure. He worries about a horse that has developed a swelling near the leg. In another, a widow wakes to feed an infant. She has enough fuel for several days and does not know how she will obtain more. A neighbor has promised to help, but his own supply is shrinking. In another, an elderly couple live with a married son, his wife, and 3 children. The house is crowded, but the arrangement distributes work. The old man cannot walk far. He can repair harness. The old woman's hands ache. She can still judge grain, calm a child, and remember every family debt. At the edge of the settlement, a laborer sleeps in a small rented space. He owns little bedding and depends upon work offered by others. Cold matters to him, but unemployment matters more. A mild winter that reduces demand for certain tasks may not feel merciful if wages disappear. Near the manor, a better house contains a tenant whose wealth comes partly from hiring poorer neighbors. He is still a peasant in law and social identity, yet his winter resembles theirs only from a distance. He owns more animals, more grain, and more choices. The church stands among them all, its tower dark. Bells will mark the morning. Beneath the floor, or in the churchyard, lie people who did not reach this spring. Their families pass them every week. The village is not a single household enlarged. It is a network of unequal lives tied together by land, obligation, memory, exchange, and weather. A faint glow appears beneath one roof, where someone has risen early. An ember has survived. Tinder catches. The light grows. This small act has been repeated for generations. It is not dramatic enough for a chronicle. No king witnesses it. No monk writes it down. Yet the act contains knowledge passed from parent to child. And one more day of human continuity. The person tending the fire may be a woman whose name never enters a document. She knows which fuel burns slowly, which pot has a hidden crack, which child needs the warmest place, which sack of grain must be used first, and how long the household can continue at the present rate. Her expertise is political in the most basic sense. It governs the distribution of life. As the flame strengthens, shapes return to the room. The edge of a chest, a hanging cloak, the curve of a pot, a sleeping face, a roof beam blackened by smoke from years before anyone present was born. There is no perfect comfort, There is enough. That phrase may be the most important phrase in medieval rural life. Enough fuel, enough food, enough cloth, enough labor, enough health, enough help, enough time. Survival rests not on abundance, but on maintaining enough across many categories at once. The danger is that enough can become not enough without warning. A storm takes the roof, a disease takes an ox, a lord takes grain, a thief takes a cloak, a fever takes the person who knows how to manage the dairy, a war takes laborers, rain takes the harvest. This is why the household stores, repairs, remembers, and shares. Redundancy is protection. More than one source of food, more than one skilled hand, more than one relationship that can be called upon, more than one way to light a fire. Medieval people may not describe this as risk management, but they practice it every day. Their solutions are not always efficient by modern standards. Open hearths waste heat. Houses lose energy. Food storage fails. Medical theories mislead. Social rules exclude. Labor burdens damage bodies. But within those limits, people continually improve local practice. A better roof angle, a stronger wall mixture, a new crop, a more effective stove, a revised tool, a household extension, a market connection, a customary right defended in court. Change happens gradually and unevenly. Chimneys spread through some rural homes. Internal rooms become more common. Glass becomes more accessible. Textile production expands. Trade widens. Agricultural methods shift. None of these developments creates a sudden moment when winter stops being dangerous. They change the margin. A few degrees warmer indoors, a little less smoke, a drier bed, a more reliable grain supply, a road that reaches market, a larger pot, a second blanket. History often moves through margins. The modern heated house is separated from the medieval hearth by countless inventions, resources, institutions, and labor systems. It also depends on networks that remain vulnerable. Fuel still must come from somewhere. Food still must be grown, stored, transported, and purchased. Buildings still require maintenance. Illness still exposes inequality. A storm still reveals who has reserves and who does not. The medieval winter feels distant because the technology has changed. Its deeper questions are familiar. Who controls energy? Who owns land? Who bears the cost of bad weather? Who has food stored? Who receives help? Whose labor is invisible? Who is expected to endure? A peasant family would not use this language. They would discuss the woodpile, the grain chest, the cow, the rent, the road, the cough, and the coming thaw. Large systems enter their lives as concrete things. The woodpile is law. The grain chest is climate. The cow is capital. The blanket is labor. The hearth is technology. The neighbor at the door is society. Understanding medieval winter means seeing all of these meanings at once. The most misleading stories isolate one detail and make it magical. They say peasants survived because dirt sealed their clothes, because cows heated the room, because everyone slept in one pile, because people ate enormous meals, or because someone remained awake beside the fire. Each detail contains a fragment of possibility. None explains the whole. People survived because an entire way of life was arranged around seasonal limits, and when that arrangement failed, people suffered regardless of cleverness. The difference matters. A trick makes survival look easy. A system reveals the labor. Consider the work hidden inside one warm night. Someone raised the sheep that produced the wool. Someone sheared it. Someone cleaned, spun, wove, cut, and sewed it. Someone cut fuel and carried it home. Someone repaired the wall. Someone harvested grain. Someone ground it. Someone brewed, cooked, fetched water, fed animals, changed bedding, watched children, and banked the fire. Warmth is collective labor stored in objects. The blanket does not merely lie on the bed. It contains pasture, sheep, hands, tools, and time. The bread contains soil, weather, seed, animals, milling, rent, and fire. The house contains woodland, clay, straw, craft, customary rites, and repeated repair. This is what makes the ordinary medieval household remarkable. Not that it survives through primitive desperation, but that it coordinates complex material systems without modern machines, rapid communication, or large safety margins. It does so imperfectly. It does so unequally. It does so again tomorrow. The day begins. A child is sent for water. Frost crunches beneath small shoes. The first smoke of morning drifts across the village. In the byre, a cow lowers its head toward fodder. In the barn, grain waits beneath chaff. At the manor, an official prepares accounts. At the church, a bell rope is pulled. The sound moves across the fields. People rise because the bell rings, because animals call, because children wake, because work waits, and because remaining in bed does not create food or fuel. The room is cold, but less cold near the renewed fire. Hands reach toward it briefly before turning to tasks. No one knows exactly how many winter mornings remain. The calendar offers dates. The body offers fatigue. The landscape offers signs. Hope rests somewhere between them. In a few weeks, perhaps, the first plow will cut the soil. Seed will leave the safety of storage and enter the uncertainty of earth. Lambs will be born. Roads will dry. The roof will be repaired. The family will move more of its life outside. Winter will become a story told beside another winter fire. Certain details will be remembered. The night of hard frost, the cow's illness, the traveler who arrived after dark, the neighbor who brought fuel, the child who coughed for a week, the loaf saved for a feast, the sound of ice breaking on the river. Other details will disappear because they seemed too ordinary to preserve. The number of times the pot was stirred, the hours spent spinning, the exact weight of wood carried, the names of the women who measured grain, the children who gathered twigs, the servants who slept near the door. Those missing details are the true scale of the season. When we say medieval peasants survived winter, the sentence sounds simple. The reality is millions of actions performed by millions of people across centuries and landscapes. Some winters were mild, some were catastrophic. Some households prospered, some broke apart. Some people reached spring, some did not. There was no single medieval winter and no single peasant experience. There was a long human practice of preparing for darkness, preserving heat, sharing risk, and beginning again when morning came. Outside, the wind moves through bare branches. Inside, the family gathers near the fire. The youngest child is still asleep. The oldest person in the house is already awake. A pot begins to warm. Someone opens the shutter a little and looks at the sky. It may snow. It may thaw. The answer will change the day, but not the first tasks. Feed the fire. Check the animals. Measure the grain. Wake the household. And remember what continuing means. It does not mean that fear disappears. It means fear is placed beside a task. The storm may return, so the roof is checked. Food may run short, so the measure is watched. Illness may spread, so the sick child is kept close. The Lord may demand payment, so goods are prepared for market. Spring may fail, so seed is guarded. This way of living can appear narrow from the distance of modern comfort, yet it contains an enormous horizon of attention. The people in the house are reading weather, soil, animal behavior, fuel quality, fabric, appetite, illness, debt, reputation, and time. Their world is not intellectually small. It is materially exacting. A careless decision has weight. A wasted log is an hour of labor, and a colder evening. Spoiled grain is lost food and lost seed. A neglected animal is future hunger. An unrepaired shoe can prevent work. A quarrel with a neighbor can remove help when help becomes necessary. The winter household, therefore, teaches a kind of patience that is not peaceful. It is active patience, waiting while repairing, waiting while counting, waiting while feeding, waiting while listening for a change in the wind. Spring cannot be ordered to arrive. It can only be prepared for. That preparation is the quiet achievement beneath every medieval field that is planted again. It belongs to people whose names are gone, whose houses may survive only as stains in earth, and whose winters were rarely important enough for a chronicler to mention. They did not know that centuries later, strangers would imagine them as frozen figures in smoky huts. They did not live to become symbols of toughness. They wanted food, warmth, health, dignity, affection, and a future for their children. In that desire, the distance between their winter and ours becomes smaller. The tools are different. The hope is recognizable and continue.